I don't think he ever expected that we would put the motto of Boston Whaler to the test, but we have, and we have proven that they are truly unsinkable. Welcome to the Blue Top Podcast. We are Sofia and Ariana Jewelewicz, twin sisters and co-founders of Blue Top Legend, Blue Top Yachting, and Blue Top Performance. This is where we dive into all things yachting, maritime marketing, and running a business on and off of the water. From insider tips to stories that inspire, we're here to help you navigate success. Today, we're diving into the story of why we chose a Boston Whaler as our very first boat. From its legendary legacy to its unsinkable design, the Whaler perfectly reflects the values of Blue Top Legend, Blue Top Yachting, and Blue Top Performance. Trust, excellence, and resilience. Boston Whalers are quite literally the unsinkable legend, and I think we might have proved that with our first couple jumps over there, especially I know we spoke about it in the last episode when we nearly died and got a little bit traumatized from that moment. We've also had water coming in from the bottom of our boat, found out that we had a very large fiberglass crack in the bottom of it. As many of you know, whalers have been famously cut in half, had thousands of rounds of ammunition fired in them, massive earth movers parked on top of them, plugs removed, loaded way beyond capacity. These things are basically unbreakable. And we have truly put that to the test. If you're listening to this podcast, you have seen what we have put the 13-foot and the 16-foot whalers through. We have truly put Boston Whaler's motto to the test. They do not break. You would think with all the pounding that we have put into that boat, into both boats for that matter, that something would have happened, but the worst thing that happened after a very large 90-degree jump was a fiberglass crack in the bottom, which, to be fair, was most likely the result of many jumps and much more pounding than one single jump. That boat, if it were likely any other boat, would have split in half a long time ago. You are so right. Every time the Boston Whaler continues to remain superior, and I was just thinking, even though whalers are built with foam, that cannot be the only thing that has saved us this whole time, because you have so many other makes and models that are built with that foam flotation. Whalers truly are special. It has to be their build quality as a whole, because Dauntless, Montauk, Outrage, Supersport, every single one of their models is continuously superior. Given there's something that does make each individual boat special, but whalers will forever hold that one special place in our hearts that truly no other boat can even come close to. Ariana, what drew us to the Boston Whaler when we first started looking for our very first boat? I would be lying if I said it were an individual decision or even a joint decision between us. It was more of our dad. He was very firm on the fact that he would not let us drive anything other than a whaler. When we mentioned that we would like to start getting into boating, he of course supported that as someone that boated himself and owned a boat for a little while. He made it very clear that we would not be in anything other than a whaler. And that was very clearly because of safety purposes, based on everything that we just talked about how the whalers have been put through everything and have not sank. For some odd reason, we didn't know at the time, he was very concerned about something happening and us sinking, which now we know was a very genuine concern and was a very realistic concern based on the things that we have put that boat through. He was very firm about the whaler, and our brother was actually the first to get into boating. His first boat was a whaler, and that was a similar story. Whalers are built with, I looked into it because I sell so many whalers, ironically. They're built with a unibond construction. That basically means that even if the hull is entirely cut in half, the boat will still float. So with that buoyancy, it's basically the number one choice, especially for families. And you're talking about our dad. I think that's really why he chose it. Exactly, and we did end up going and having the time of our lives with that boat, which did come with slight destruction to the hull. It was a very realistic concern, and I'm very happy that he was so firm about a whaler, because I do think now, looking back, in any other boat, stuff could have gone very wrong. But as I was saying, our brother was the first to get into boating of the kids. His first boat was a whaler, and it was a similar story. He bought a broken down one and fixed it up with our dad. And I think that was the moment that our dad was definitely firm on getting a whaler for us, even though that was a few years before we got into boating. Our brother, I guess it runs in the family, was also very adrenaline run. He ran on adrenaline. He loved pounding boats and doing these crazy jumps. So our dad saw how a broken whaler could handle that and took it upon himself to never trust his kids in anything else, given the adrenaline that runs in our blood. I do actually want to give a little shout out to Rich. He was our neighbor when we were very little, and I think him and my dad bonded over the fact that they both loved whalers so much. Rich's son Ricky had a whaler, our brother Gabriel had a whaler, and I actually sold Rich a whaler not too long ago, a Montauk. I think that it really became such a family bonding experience, the fact that we all had whalers and all of our friends had whalers. It became a little group of us and our friends. We all have whalers. Our dad grew up with whalers. His friends grew up with whalers. It's kind of like a community at this point. Exactly. And our dad, he just wanted us to be safe. Now we definitely realize that. I don't think he ever expected that we would put the motto of Boston Whaler to the test, but we have, and we have proven that they are truly unsinkable. How do you think that the Boston Whaler has set the standard for the boating experience that we wanted? We, like you said, didn't even know that we were going to put it to the test. We didn't even know how much a boat could handle. I remember going in the intercoastal the first time, and it was flat out there, mind you. For some reason, we thought that we were sinking. The freeboard on our initial Supersport was so limited and it was so tiny, and we felt so close to the water, we automatically thought that we were sinking. Little did we know, the day after we would go full send it in the ocean, not knowing that Boston Whalers could handle exactly what we put it through, but we've proven that they are unsinkable in every aspect of that theory. Their foam build combined with that construction process is so totally unique in the boat building process. We did not go into boating at all thinking that we would go catch air and prove Whaler's legacy. It kind of just happened, and we wouldn't have it any other way. This has opened up such a door of opportunity for us. We've created such a community through this, and it is so much fun. It's definitely important to note that we really didn't go into this with a plan. We were scared the first time we went on that boat alone. In the intercoastal, flat out, we thought we were going to die. And then the next day, something clicked, and we went out there with the goal of having fun. For some reason, we weren't scared anymore. We were with each other. We were laughing the whole time, huge smiles on our faces. We didn't know what we were doing. We certainly aren't boating pros that know how to do these jumps and these fancy little tricks. We were trying to have fun, and that's important to note because now we see that people love to see that. We can be our authentic selves, trying to enjoy life given a boat. You don't have to be drinking on it. You could just have the boat, go run it in the ocean, and have the time of your life. I do think that us being together, I know a lot of people comment on this, but the fact that we are constantly together, we can do anything when we're together. I don't know what gets into our brains. It's like we can take over the world. Every time we're together, we feel so on top of the world. You're right, though. We were definitely still learning. I don't know why that sense of fear didn't hit us the second day as it did on the first. We did need to learn throttle control a little bit. We still do need to learn throttle control a lot. Because whalers are built heavier and their hull is much more sturdy than competing builds, especially with the Dauntless. I think that's what birthed our love for the water. I remember our dad wanted us to get a Montauk at first, and we actually had an offer put in, and then Ariana and I decided maybe we'll stick to the Supersport for a little bit longer. And then out came this Dauntless, and I remember Ariana and I just looked at each other and we said, I think this is our next boat. And we knew the minute I took that boat out, Ariana looked at me, I looked at her, I said, yep, this is our baby forever. I can't imagine it any other way. That Dauntless will have a special place in my heart for the rest of my life, and hopefully my kids will get to use her. How did Whaler's reputation for reliability and safety influence our decision? Again, we really didn't participate in the purchase decision. We didn't know much about the industry at the time. It was definitely our dad being a good father and looking out for his kids. He made it abundantly clear that he would only allow us on the water if we were in a whaler. He went on Craigslist. He had been looking for a while because, just like us, he wanted to find the one that stuck out, the one that he knew would keep us safe, the one that he knew we would have fun on, the one that he knew we would be able to destroy, and it wouldn't be a massive deal. So he found one on Craigslist. He'd been looking for a while. This little 13-foot Super Sport that had been sitting in a junkyard popped up. I remember him showing us the listing on Craigslist. It was a Super Sport dual console. They're not made anymore. It's not a boat that you see, even outside of Super Sport. It was such a cute little boat. We had each our own console. There was plenty of space in the front at the time. And we just knew that immediately looking at it, we would have so much fun with that boat.
And if you know boats, you know that the Super Sport model is more like a bow rider deck kind of boat. When we say this Super Sport was a legit dual console, this thing had 2 consoles. We had a bench in the front. This was not your typical bow rider, especially for a 13-foot boat. I know Ariana said you wouldn't find something like this on the market, but this was definitely a one-of-a-kind boat.
We were questioning so much, why do we need a Boston Whaler? There are so many cheaper boats. There are so many cooler looking ones. I remember him showing us the video of a Boston Whaler being cut in half. It was half of a hull, boating in a lake as if nothing had changed, as if it were a full hull, nothing had changed. That was the moment that I truly think I understood why he was so persistent about the fact that we needed a Boston Whaler, because it was just about safety. I highly doubt we would be able to break that boat in half, but if it were the case, given that we were probably working up to that, we know that we would have been safe. Now I understand why he was so persistent about that. We did not realize that we would be so hungry for adrenaline, but as it turns out, based on all of the stunts that we have put that boat through, we got so lucky to have ended up with a Boston Whaler. I'm not sure that any other boat would have put up with our craziness. Looking back, would you have chosen anything else, or was Whaler always the perfect fit?
For us, God was really looking over us when our dad decided to choose the Whaler. Even if he did give us that creative freedom to choose another boat before BTL started. Knowing what I do now, I think that the Whaler was definitely meant to be a part of us. It has become a part of our identity at this point. Whalers are among the most trusted boats on the water. I can safely say at this point that they are the boat that I feel the most comfortable on. I have sea trialed so many boats before for clients, even when we do maritime marketing and it's not for a sale. Of all of the boats that I've driven, the 2 that I feel the safest on thus far are a Whaler and an Everglades. And if you know, Everglades is a very similar build quality to the Whaler. Whalers do stay true to their name. They stay true to their heritage. They're recognized as one of the safest and most reliable boats on the water. Boats do sink. It's not something that you just hear about. No, they do sink. But with Whaler's foam-filled hull, you have over 2 times the flotation required by the U.S. Coast Guard. That's an insane statistic.
That's crazy. I actually didn't know that. That's such an interesting statistic. I do think that we have truly tested the reliability and the safety of the Whaler because we genuinely have put that boat through everything with very minimal regard of what it would do to the actual boat, considering all of the fiberglass cracks that have been seen in it, and of course the massive one that made the original 13 have to be retired. We genuinely tested the heck out of that Whaler, and she passed. She passed for a long time until it was her time to be retired, and for that, I definitely have to thank my dad, and of course Boston Whaler for developing that insane little boat that had wings.
That boat was definitely meant to soar. I do think she wanted to be a plane in another life. These boats were tested by firing bullets at the hull to demonstrate how unsinkable and how dependable they were. That goes to show you, yes, we put our Whaler through so much, but in the long run, if these boats could handle being shot at and they were fine, I think the boat could handle a little bit of pounding. And no, I didn't know that they were shot at while we were pounding the boat, but now it does make me feel that much safer. What parallels do you see between Whaler's legacy of unsinkability and dependability and what we're building with Blue Top Legend now?
Unsinkable is unbreakable, and we have put that to the test. We've shown that. We've turned Boston Whaler's motto of unsinkable into unbreakable in the sense that despite many issues with our boat and many repairs having to be made, we haven't given up. The boat is advertised as unbreakable. You hear it all. We've talked about it this whole podcast. We've truly taken that and made it a part of our lives because we haven't given up. There have been so many problems with the boat and the engine and the fiberglass cracks and the speakers and the gas and having it almost sink. I could name so many and I can go on, but with all of that, we have stayed persistent. We haven't given up. We've continued to try to grow our brand even when people give us hate comments and say we're just doing this for the attention and all the negativity you can imagine on social media. This has become our thing. It's our brand and we love it. We absolutely love sharing our joy on the water and sharing our love for ocean conservation and turning this into something bigger and better where we can have an impact on the ocean and spread knowledge about the importance of ocean conservation and keeping your trash in the boat, or even spread awareness of local eco-friendly brands so that people know that there are options out there. We have begun to turn this into something so much bigger, and it is because of Boston Whaler's motto of being unsinkable and being unbreakable that we have learned to apply that to our own lives.
I love how you worded that because you're so right. Through what we have done with Whaler and what we have done with Blue Top Legend, it has taught us so much perseverance because you're right. We get a lot of hate. And not a little bit. When I say a lot, we get a lot of hate. But we get probably 100 times the amount of love. And our whole motto, our life goal is to spread love and spread joy, especially with our love for the water. Everyone on the water is happy all the time. You wave, you get a wave back. You say hey, you get a hey back. Nobody on the water is in a bad mood, and I think that's because you quite literally cannot be in a bad mood when you're on the ocean, boating, listening to your music around your crowd. There is no such thing as a bad time on the water. If you know how to do it and you do it safely, it's something that you can find joy in for the rest of your life.
I wish everyone would be able to experience that, but I did love how you mentioned that we do get a lot of hate. Everyone does it. It's unavoidable on social media, but we get so much more love and support from you guys, which has allowed us to expand on how much we have doing the merch and getting more partnerships, creating a podcast. This is all because of the support we receive. So you know that we are getting so much support, and that allows us to see so much potential with this brand. Through the repairs, through the engine failures, through the wiring issues, the speakers breaking, it could be overwhelming. Ultimately, there was a 6-foot fiberglass crack in the 13-foot Whaler, but it didn't sink on us. And in the same way, we were inspired not to give up because life is always going to throw something at you. If it were easy, it wouldn't be so special. Blue Top is growing into something so much bigger because we keep working at it. It takes a lot of posting, a lot of dealing with analytics, a lot of seeing what people like, a lot of time dedicated to creating content, manipulating it based on what does well and what doesn't. It's a lot trying to appeal to everyone while also sticking to our main goals of doing this and trying to share value and trying to share our love for the water. It is truly so worth it because at the end of the day, we get to share our love for boating with people all over the world, and that's not something that many people can say. It's such a special feeling because the love that we get completely overrules the hate. How does Whaler's focus on excellence and innovation inspire our brands?
You're right. That message really does resonate with all of our platforms at Blue Top. Legend, yachting, and performance. Our slogan at VTL is to not touch my throttle. It is don't touch my throttle, which we've established why. We do love to pimp the throttle. There's nothing wrong with that. Our Whaler does such an exemplary job at listening to every single cue that we put that throttle through, even as we continue to learn throttle control with each time that we go out. On our 13-foot Super Sport, that throttle was a little sticky. It either went full speed or it went in reverse. There was no neutral on that boat. Not fun when you're learning to boat, but when we got this boat, it made it that much easier. That's why it's so important to get a boat that's maybe not so perfect as your first boat, because for the rest of your life, you'll be seeing every other boat that you deal with as easy as compared to complicated. Our slogan at Blue Top Yachting is navigating excellence, anchoring trust. That's our core belief with everything that we do. Similar to how Whaler focuses on excellence and innovation in the yachting and boating industry, we are constantly striving to always promote value to our clients in every aspect that we do with social media, providing outstanding experiences, providing value, and showing them what Blue Top Legend and yachting is all about.
I love that you mentioned what the original 13 has taught us because it wasn't easy. That Whaler was a pain in the butt. I've listed the problems before. There were 1,000 more. Without them, we would not be the boaters that we are today. Given we definitely don't know everything or even close to it, but it taught us so much. Lessons that could be applied to our life and literally the technical aspects of boating. Now we know what to do when the engine might quit. We know what to check. We know how to deal with a sticky throttle. We know how to pump the engine bulb. We know how to do all of these things that we otherwise would have no idea how to do. It's not things that you can learn off of a YouTube video. It's things that you literally have to learn being in the situation and dealing with it.
We learned not just that, but also perseverance, like I mentioned before. That 13-foot whaler was sticky in itself. It was not an easy boat to deal with. We had to persevere through a lot of cracks, a lot of fixing, a lot of repairs, a lot of rewiring and refiberglassing. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of energy. On that topic, what lessons did we learn from owning such a complicated whaler that we now apply to Blue Top?
Like you said, perseverance, but also patience. Boats break all the time. It's inevitable. If you own a boat, it's going to break, probably more than you would expect it to. We would repair the boat on Tuesday and it would break again on Wednesday or Tuesday afternoon. But we would keep fixing it because the memories and experiences that boat brought, and even fixing it together, would make it so worth it.
Even now that you're still at college, I take the boat out right after we fix it or right after I bring it back from international. Something breaks and then I have to call our dad or call Brian with international and they go, "It's fine, we'll fix the boat, it's no big deal." The point is, even if it breaks, we'll fix it and it won't take long and you'll still get to go out on the boat, and every single second of fixing and boating will be completely worth it.
Every day out on the boat or fixing it, like you said, is an experience with an invaluable life lesson and a memory that I will truly cherish forever. Whether it's fixing the boat with our dad or going out for the first time and laughing our butts off, or in times of distress when we were in the ocean and our engine quit on us and waves were coming into the boat. It's still an invaluable lesson and a memory that I will cherish because aside from all the fear and the craziness that it instilled, it taught me so much about how to handle times of adversity. The same thing can be applied with our social media and building up Blue Top Yachting and Blue Top Performance as brands. As new brands, it could be disheartening to see such slow growth. It's inspiring at the same time because Blue Top Legend started the same exact way. We started with 100 followers for the first probably 4 months of our social media platform. Once we learned what people like to see and we learned the content that people wanted us to put out and we started figuring out our niche and what people love to see from us, being our true and authentic selves, along with consistent posting and that patience, we realized that those new brands are going to grow too, just like Blue Top Legend.
I remember when I first started Blue Top Yachting and I said, "Ariana, should I just delete the page? I haven't even gotten 100 followers." And I remember you told me, "Do you get a follower a day? That's all that counts." The fact that we are growing these brands ourselves and together, that truly makes it all worth it. Who cares if we only have 50 followers or 20 followers or whatever the number be? We're doing it together and we're growing our own brand and we get to say that we started our own brands together. Who else gets to say that?
Exactly, and I'm in the same situation now starting Blue Top Performance because I got a late head start. I had the business before I started social media, and it is slow. It's slow growth. It's inevitable, but it is really disheartening, and I've had the same conversation with you about that, but you're right. I get 1 follower a day. Eventually, that's going to add up, and it's not about followers. It's about the value that you're putting out there, and I just want to help people with this. Even if I can help 10 people, I'm happy. Looking at what Blue Top Legend has grown into, all because we didn't give up on that 13-foot whaler, is so inspiring and continues to inspire the growth of these new brands. How did running the whaler give us a better understanding of what your clients at Blue Top Yachting value in boats?
My experience in boating has taught me so much that I put to use every single day in my job as a yacht broker. I've had the opportunity to learn hands-on, which so many people don't have the opportunity to say. The fact that I have had the experience to learn in the industry before stepping into the industry really gave me that one head start that I truly did need, because that constantly pushes me to be better, to always be learning, to always be providing value. I detail our own boat, I repair what I can, which keep in mind it's not a lot, and I keep her maintained with each use, whether it be hosing her down or flushing the engine every single time, filling her with gas. I do it myself and I love it.
Sophia is always out there. Every time after we go on a boat, the friends go up to the dock, everyone can go home, but she will stay out there for 2 hours, scrubbing every inch of that boat to get the salt water off. She's flushing the engine, she's wiping down the rail, she's waxing it to make her look shiny every time we go out. She truly loves the boat, but it's also an impression of Blue Top Yachting. It's how people see us. People want to see that boat clean. It's a brand. It represents our brand. And Sophia's so passionate about that. It truly shows because she loves that boat. I love to help, but I'm not nearly as good as waxing it or washing it even. She truly loves that boat. I think it's important to mention here because she will literally stay out there for 2 hours trying to clean it and make her look good as new.
You deserve just as much credit as I do because we have a whole routine when you're in town. I fill the gas, you hose the boat, we scrub her when we need to. Yes, I'll wax it, but even that little bit of help with you hosing and me filling, it makes the time go by faster, and it's also automatically fun because I'm with you. Doing all this myself and having the opportunity to learn so hands-on has allowed me to truly put myself in each of my clients' shoes and explain what it takes to own a boat. I just sold a little bow rider. First time boat owners, I gave them an entire list of what to do before taking the boat out, during, after taking the boat out with their new trailer. The fact that I know how to do all that is a value in itself, and I'm so happy to be able to share my passion for first time boat owners, seasoned boat owners. Boats are so much fun, but everyone has to know that they don't come without their fair share of work, and a decent amount of it too. Boston Whaler wasn't just our first boat, it was the start of our entire journey with Blue Top Legend.
It's a legacy of trust, innovation, and resilience that continues to inspire us every single day. That's it for this episode of the Blue Top Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We loved having you guys on board.
Make sure to follow us on Blue Top Legend for more behind the scenes moments and updates from Blue Top Legend, Blue Top Yachting, and Blue Top Performance. And remember, we're all about navigating excellence and anchoring trust.
Don't forget to keep that throttle pinned.
And as always, don't touch my throttle. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.